Welcome to my Let's Play for DC Universe or DCUO.
Taking little bro to Arby's to get some dinner. Waiting in a long-ass line. See a 300...
DCUO stands for DC Universe Online. It is a MMO.
Everybody in line and demands a roast beef sandwich.
Basically what you do on this game, you fight people, get better loot, equip it, get stronger, and it just keeps going from there. Even after you reach cap level, which is level 30.
I had already forgotten about the loan card. Sit down with my bro to eat. When my bro is done, he says he needs to go to...
This is my new character, Hades.
To the bathroom and immediately start screaming. I run to
Continuing with my Greek God series.
The tard stank my sweat. The tard was at the sink fucking...
He is a hero, mentors Batman, power, rage, so he is a Red Lantern. His weapon is dual wand, and his movement is flight.
My face when the man is dragged out with the sandwich still hanging on his dick. My sister, my 5-year-old brother, is now scared of roast beef. Be in middle school, probably like 14. Remembrance Day assembly. Have to do moment silence, though. Hear slight squeaking in the back of the room. Helen starts to connect. I can feel the smoke coming on. Groaning becomes screaming. Squeaking becomes thrashing. Kids start howling. Trying so hard not to laugh, I can't set my entire body. Other cards start to growl. Faces getting red. Every card in the gym is now screaming. 21 cards.
That right there is combo to activate that combo. You tap square and hold square, and it does that.
After buying what we wanted, we go to a fast food restaurant in the mall. Planned to end the day with a movie from the mall's towards an AMC theater. Until this severely overweight neck-moving car knocks into the restaurant wearing a toy and...
Oh, good. You're here to help. Keep Scarecrow's men away and help administer the antidote.
Decide to fuck with the tard while it walks by.
Don't!
Nice lightsaber.
And from time to time you'll hear me say weird things for the dialogue of this character. No one hits me. In fact, no one lays a hand on me.
It proceeds to pull me out of my seat and punch me in the chest with its toy gun with the force of 1,000 Mexicans.
I loathe violence.
In complete shock, unable to move, I took punch after punch to the chest. And my lazy
That's 2 administered patients. Doesn't he do one more here?
I couldn't keep taking punches.
Wait,
It took
I
all
have to
time for my
document.
parents to restrain this sack of shit. They waited for its wrangler to come in and take the tard away while I lay there in After 20 minutes, they took me to the hospital to make sure that I didn't have any broken ribs. It wasn't anything serious, just a bad...
Thank goodness you're here. We need help administering the antidote.
So it hurts like having cough. Fuck you, Thanos, Tard.
This is a spot near Crime Alley, by the way. You would know what I'm talking about if you follow DC Comics. Crime Alley is famous in Gotham because that's where billionaire Bruce Wayne lost his parents as a young kid, which set him on the path to becoming Batman.
That's when he gets his arm stuck in the vending machine trying to reach up to pull chips out. Suddenly a lot less intimidated. Fats McGee starts screaming and flailing, twists his arm back.
This city is not safe.
I simply stare. Tard comes in trying to free him. The retard 3 are flailing around crying. My entire class has stopped to watch the treehouse.
Want some?
One of the retard 3 starts flaming out this sputtering retard Tard.
Okay.
Well,
And if you want, you can grab yourself a bag of popcorn if you want.
arm still in the vending machine. Firefighters had to come and cut the vending machine to shit.
Most of the stuff I bought today, I bought for us.
Unstoppable Tard. His eyes lock with mine one final time as they lead him away. I see in those eyes scandal and rage. This job is going to suck. Teaching about mental disorders, ironically. Fats McGee and his retard 3 walk in out of the blue at sitting desks. What are you doing? retard looks at me, starts emitting this horrible screech breathing noise. I just smile. His voice continues. Start preparing to evacuate the class. Fats McGee suddenly lowers his head. Vomits all over the fucking place. All over the floor. There are undigested hunks of hot dog floating around at his stomach acid. The other three tartlets that followed Fats McGee start laughing and running around the room. I go to the Tardguard. Tardguard have gone outside to let the retards flail. Play kickball on the baseball field. There's
the only thing left to do. Get my fist in your face.
Oh, you see them up here? No. Come get them. Lead Tardguard down to classroom. Tardguard rounds up Fats McGee.
You don't scare easy. And I mean Harvey Bullock, not just the fear gas.
I've tracked Scarecrow's lair to the sewers beneath the East End.
6 months after
That
the
woman
first
has gone
incident,
in.
sitting
She's
in
out
the
of
classroom,
contract.
working on some school stuff.
Not good.
At this point, I'm trying
Get
to
in
get my
there
master's.
and end the
You're
Scarecrow's
running
reign
in
of
the
terror.
hall. Glance up. Fats McGee and his retard crew are running down the hall, bursting into their classrooms and waving at you action like them. Stare as they burst into my classroom. Unwaves. Go back. Please go. You're disrupting my classroom. Carl walks in. Stares. I stare back. Lets out the same high-pitched gurgle noise. A noise I've come to call the song of the child. Starts trying to take the power and says I'm great.
Look out!
What the fuck's
Thanks
that?
for the backup.
Tardguard walks in. Oh, there you are. Oh, there you. Oh, there. Oh. This Tardguard managed to lose her power.
And we're going in sewers to face Scarecrow. Now, in my opinion, Scarecrow's always been a creep.
Because I have
A little creepy, too.
But who doesn't act like that? Please leave. Bitch mode 3000 engaged. I get bitched at. Go to the principal's office with Tardguard.
His fear gas
Because my special ed students
attacks the nerve centers of the brain,
hate special ed.
Why weren't they with you? Dumb bitch goes quiet. She gets fired too.
causing you to witness your worst fears. Anything you're afraid of, it comes to life, and you see it.
Vacation to get my master's.
It causes hallucinations so strong
Point, barely paying attention.
that it can cause trauma, even death.
Stand up expecting someone to have a knife because I teach in one of the shittiest schools in the nation. Fats McGee and his retard 3 have walked in and started screaming retard speech at this girl trying to steal her orange Fanta. I've just about had enough of this fucking shit. Grab Fats McGee by his scrub arm. Fats starts screaming and struggling. Then start crying. Don't care. Drag Fats McGee back to the time cage, aka Thunderdome. Throw open door during quiet time. Scream at Tardguard. Second time this semester, and after one of you have been fired because of it, learn to do this job. Shut up. Friends follow. Walk back to classroom, but not before seeing the Fats have rolled and shit himself. Bad enough that he doesn't even make a stand. It looks like actual shit is dribbling from his pants. Laugh all the way back to my
This whole
classroom.
place is filled with fear gas. Get those leaking barrels out of there and clear the air.
That's going to cause so much the rest of the day, especially don't give a fuck. Thanks much to the softball about this point. I have my master's and plan on working much after this year. I've become a baseball coach because one was arrested for dealing with criminal students. Three students towards field for fourth block, which is practice/strength and conditioning. Tards are on the field.
Now we have to get these 3 canisters and clear out the air in this area.
Tardguard, a hot one that I actually.
As we do this, you'll see weird shit happening, trust me.
Fats McGee decides to continue what will be a war until he graduates. Fats looks at me, starts running away from the Tardguard. Tardguard begins pursuit. Fats runs up the bleachers, gets to the top, and hurls the bleachers at the Tardguard. The Tardguard is pegged by my rapid, shit-covered bleachers. Fats is showing immense stamina, capable of running while creating a massive fucking trail. Spins every time a guy gets close, becoming a literal whirlwind of shit.
are catching up
Tard bites at me, finally stops running. My face ran. We eat breakfast in the gym that day. Later the same year as the baseball field incident, it's homecoming day, which means we don't eat shit. The whole thing is activities for the kids. We have to do study because I'm a fucking nerd. It's like it. But then, here comes Fats McFeely as we play 3. Fats tries to keep a clean slide that goes through the food and ends up slamming into the steak.
One canister to go, and then we can face Scarecrow. Now, if you're not sure how to get to him, once you go to this canister and deliver it all the way over there, you fly all the way through that tunnel towards there and go that way. There you'll find a panel which you have to hold circle on. That's if you're playing PlayStation version. And once you get there, you press circle, hold it, and it opens the door, and then you can face Scarecrow himself. Sorry folks if I sound a little weird. My sinuses have been messing with me this past week. But I will not let that stop me from posting videos for you viewers.
Second semester of Fats
More patience! Excellent! This one has already lost the grip of the senses. So let's begin your work, shall we? Fear is such an appetite.
Present for you.
So many flavors, each one as
for you.
Delicious as the next. Allow me to serve you from a buffet of my favorite recipes. One of my favorites, Astrophobia, the fear of thunder and lightning.
Take as much of that as you want, okay?
No, not lightning.
Haha, I'm a Red Lantern, your lightning cannot hurt me. Scarecrow, I'm gonna rip your legs off, then your arms, and then your head. I didn't think you liked that comment.
That suddenly grabs his leg and throws him into a constant horror of himself. The first noise, all hell breaks loose. Pat says relief his pants completely and is waving his dick around, kissing everything. The retard crew is all starting to talk to him. I'm still awestruck at what he just watched. Pat looks at me. Says the idea.
Here's one that's close to home. Protophobia. Fear of betrayal. Nothing like having your closest allies stab you in the back. But since yours are so boring, I've cooked up my own version. Enjoy!
Hope you enjoy your gift.
I was forced to remove Ray from the team because of the prom incident, but we're still fast friends after the graduates. I'm entering my third grade teacher and Francis Jr. It's taken all summer, but I finally figured out my plan. I can't be damaged in school with a moderated way. I have to find a way to attach to everything outside of school. I know for a fact Bats is turning 18 soon because he was held back in middle school. So I could get him started as a chance. I usually cookie to befriend one of his retard crew, and that was found in the boots. I learned that Francis' birthday is March 31st.
Another one of my favorites. Petophobia, fear of reptiles. And since we're in a Gotham sewer, who better to represent it than Killer Croc?
Kick them while they're down. All they'll just get back up again.
Finally, March 31st. I still really best what he does for me. It turns out Francis is not Finally, I used my strength to learn the fastest way to get it. I grabbed a computer and spot glancing around. I prepared myself and prepared my clothes. I don't know if it's totally intentional mind, just my luck. I just brushed my hair and I feel like this is where the whole pretty fucking bad literally thinking. That turns around. That starts with a secret message. Still down fast. Fast starts freaking the fuck out. Mother turns towards me with eyes wide and she recognizes me. Just for real.
This one has an extra twist. Better stay on your toes.
I'm getting real about that.
Can't be real, but they'll feel real.
Holy shit, it's real. Police are called because I'm weak. I press charges. His mother rages and says I provoked him. Teachers from school testify that Vance was always incredibly aggressive and rage-filled. That he never caused destruction. Vance is found guilty as an adult of 14 assault and is given 9 months in jail. Plus, a $5,000
but not least,
I left that at the
wait,
courthouse.
well, I can't, sir. No! Gas! No matter. By now your minds are shattered. I'll take you down myself! Get there!
My head is clearing. Let's have Scarecrow before he escapes, shall we?
Be in 5th grade. Be in the AI class. It's like advanced shit for smart kids. The teachers decided it's a good idea for us to spend a day with the TARD kids because we were ahead of schedule for the marking period. I had never seen a TARD previous to this encounter, so I did not know what to expect. Walk into the TARD HQ. It seems to be a regular classroom filled with ugly-ass kids. Everybody is assigned their own personal TARD to
The
talk
only
to.
thing to fear
I get assigned Phil.
is no longer the
I walk
only
up to the TARD and say, "Hello, I'm Phil."
Instead of a handful,
One fluent word. Hey, Phil.
there are
He says this whenever he's in a third and it becomes my only warning of the inevitable oncoming shitstorm. Sit down and see his cutting paper.
This
Ask him what he's
my home.
News.
And with all
What?
that I've learned,
TARD starts to make the screeching sound. The only thing I can compare it to is the sound of a fucking raptor.
only
A fat downy TARD runs up to us. Stupid! Neil gets up and continues his rap TARD roar directly in her face. Downy TARD goes batshit, engages TARD strength and flips the entire table over. Neil not only continues his TARD roar, but moves closer to the Downy child. Down kid just starts screaming and tries to run for the door. Forgets to open it and smashes into it head first. K.O.
Done well.
Neil silences his roar. Sits down and continues cutting the paper as if nothing had happened.
We'll be speaking
All my
soon.
what.jpg.
Batman out.
TARD Wranglers run in and retrieve Neil and the Downy child. They are both sent home. And that, my friends, is the first of my many stories of Neil. Just tell me if you want more. After our first faithful encounter, I hadn't seen Neil for a while, so this story takes place about 3 months after my previous story. Be walking down the hall with friends to lunch, talking about usual 5th grade shit, Pokemon and whatnot. Your faint yet memorable voice. Hey, Bill! Don't answer. Pretend I heard nothing due to the events of last time. Hear the sound yet again, except this time directly in my ear. Hey, Bill! He had just appeared at my side. He had to be at least 30 or so feet in the other direction previously. This speed will come into play in later encounters. Wave awkwardly to him. Hey, Neil. He extends a bag of Cheetos he had in his hand in my direction. You want some? No thanks, Neil. My friend, not knowing the kind of devastation Neil is capable of, reaches over and grabs one of the Cheetos out of the bag without asking. Neil looks up with pure malice. Oh fuck, not again. Approaches my friend deliberately, looking into his eyes. Engage Raptard roar. This one was in short bursts. It appears as if he has different roars for different situations. Friend says, "What's wrong with him?" Say nothing, as I do not want to feel Neil's wrath. Friend backs away as Neil approaches, chewing the Cheeto. Neil lets out one last violent Tard roar and hurls himself at my friend, knocking him over. He jams his hand into my friend's mouth and retrieves the liquidy remnants of the Cheeto, while continuing his Tard roar directly in his face. Stands up and eats liquidy, half-eaten Cheeto after silencing his roar. Tard Wrangler comes speeding down the hallway and grabs Neil by the wrist to pull him back to Tard HQ. Waves at me. Baby. Not a single ounce of regret or any emotion, for that matter, in his eyes. I wave at him and utter awe. Bye, Neil. You guys want more? Neil, Part 3.
If you're all wondering why I'm having for lunch, I'm having beefaroni.
You see, Neil mainly kept to himself. He did not like his Tard kind. But he had an extreme dislike for one Tard.
Yes, that shit is good, trust me.
This is the first of their battles that I saw. Be in 6th grade now.
Well, it takes like a minute in the microwave.
Supporter. We are now going to help the Tards out.
Like a minute and a half.
I enter the Tard HQ.
At most.
And see Neil sitting in the corner. Hasn't grown an inch since last year. Turns out he will remain 5'0" for his entire life. He looks as if he is in total concentration reading a book. I walk up to Neil. Hey bud, what you reading? He gives me one of those toothy Tard grins. Hey dude. Sit next to him and look at the book. Dr. Seuss's A Cat in the Hat. A tall, skinny kid walks over towards us. I could tell that he was a dick from the second I saw him. What are you reading, Neil? Snatches book out of Neil's hand. This book is for babies. Nick gets up.
Thanks to your help, Scarecrow's back in Arkham.
James holds it above his
So
head.
now we've got a new fire to put out.
Neil's
Bane's
rage
back
is
on the
apparent.
run and taking
It
over
is that of
Cape
1,000
Carmine.
suns.
Sound like
Neil
a
sounds his
job.
Raptard screech. This is slightly different from his roar. Its sole effect is to piss off other Tards. Stupid Neil, take your dumb book. Too late for that, bud. Neil continues to approach, with his fist above his head as far as he can reach. Screech continues. At this point, Tard HQ is compromised. Tards are going crazy. Crayons and shit are being thrown. One Tard was hurled into a ball in a puddle of piss. AI class is told to evacuate. I stay to watch the imminent lulls. James is now clenching his ears for dear life. Neil is fighting within striking distance of James. He throws his mighty fist down into James's nuts with the accumulated force of 1,000 banhammers. James drops and begins to throw up onto magic carpet. Neil silences the screech, picks up the book James had stolen from him, and sits down to read it directly in James's pile of throw-up. But why, .jpg? He looks up at me with that toothy grin as I just stare. Tard Wranglers bust in. One grabs me to bring me to safety. The others grab the debilitated James and Neil. Neil screams after me, "Hey, Neil!" I just watch as he is hauled off to the principal's office, not giving a single bit of resistance. That day was known as N Day up until I left for the high school. Neil, Part 3. Be in second marking period now. Neil has been suspended for pulverizing James's nuts. He's back now. I have started to look forward to our days helping the Tards just because of Neil. Unfortunately, it's not that day. Be in art class. The teacher says we have a Tard coming to our class from now on because the school has started a new integration program for Tards. Neil walks through the fucking door. Class, this is Neil. Hello, Neil, we say in unison as I wave. Hey, Bill. Teacher lets him sit next to me because he knows me. James walks into class after
This
him.
Friday I might end up buying a few things for my character
James
here.
introduced the class and is put at the same table as us just by luck. We are starting watercolor.
Which means before we go ahead and do our next mission, we're going to do a little planning for this week so you can see what's going to be all about and see what it's going to look like.
Your apples look like shit.
Just like a brief preview,
Well, because he's fucking Neil. And he doesn't-
see-through type thing.
James, obviously angered by being ignored by me and Neil, pours all of his paint onto my painting. Don't give a fuck, but Neil sure as hell did. Commence Raptard Roar, short burst mode. This is when I found out that the short bursts mean he's about to wreck shit. Neil throws all his paint right into James's eyes as the class looks on with horror. Minions! James can't see shit, and Neil has taken out Skittles that I assume he had hidden in the foreskin of his penis. I found out he's uncircumcised in a later incident, and begins pelting James with them. He's hurling these at Mach 5 speeds into him. James falls off the stool he's sitting on and brings the girl sitting next to him along too. Neil walks around the table, picks up the paint and slowly empties it onto both James and the girl. It is apparent that Neil does not give two shits about civilian casualties. The roar has stopped. Kids are all huddled into the corner aside from me, the two tards and the poor girl caught in the mix. Teachers signal for tard wranglers outside. James and Neil are picked up and taken from the classroom. Neil is in complete and utter peace while being carried away. He simply waves at me. Bye, Pew.
So yeah, we're going to get this.
School's integration program.
Hopefully.
The girl who got wrecked parents attempted to soothe the school. Neil.
Eventually.
With the lightning raptard. Be in 7th grade now. Haven't seen Neil in over a year. He and his parents had moved to a different school district, possibly due to the previously mentioned problems with this one. Be in the 3rd marking period. It's okay, not the same without Neil though. Walking down the hall one day, lo and behold, Neil is walking down the hall, all 5 feet of him. Run up to him. Hey Neil, you coming back to school again? Hey Pew. He now has his own personal tard wrangler at all times except for lunch, who explains everything to me. Unfortunately, I have no classes with Neil due to the whole integration system being destroyed by the wrath of Neil. I see him in the halls all the time, though. You see, the thing about our middle school is that it has multiple buildings, which you have to travel outside to get to. As I mentioned before, Neil possesses lightning speed, which he doesn't display very often. One day, while I am walking to woodshop with my friends, I see something blaze past me, followed by a familiar noise. The lightning raptard's mighty roar. 50 feet behind him is the wrangler, unable to keep up with him. Everybody looks on in shock as Neil plows directly through a small Asian girl carrying her books. As previously stated, Neil doesn't give two shits about civilian casualties. Neil looks behind to see how far he is from the wrangler. He silences his roar as he can see he has won. Neil fails to see the glass door directly in front of him, though. And
Yeah, so we're going to get this aura,
Neil is out.
as well as a flight aura for it.
And picks up Neil to bring him back to Tard HQ, just as he comes back to consciousness. Neil sees me as he's being carried away. Yay, Pew! Neil is back, everybody. Be in 6th grade still, only a week left of school. Neil has been rather quiet lately, mainly because me and my friends now let him sit with us at lunch and whatnot, because he has never disrupted anything, and there was always the possibility of Neil...
We're going to get this black aura here.
So James wasn't near him without
It's like 200.
Often. AI teacher thinks that this is a wonderful idea for us to throw an end-of-the-year party with the Tards. Teacher has no idea of the sequence of events which she has set forth. The party
And we're going to
is
get
held
this
3 days before the end of school.
red flight aura.
And by the end of the day, I have my hair slicked back and in a white t-shirt because I'm lazy and unoriginal. The AI class has set up the entire thing. Soda, candy, food, music, and whatnot. I talk to my friends as we wait for the Tards to enter. The Tards make their entrance into the gymnasium where this is being held. Most of the Tards look, well, retarded. Neil is dressed up as Michael Jackson. He looks fucking badass. Neil walks over to us. Everybody says hi. Hey, Neil. Neil seems a bit off today, though. Lots of energy. Turns out Neil skipped off on his meds today. Not a very good thing. Neil equals ticking time bomb of raptardness. James walks over to us. I can already sense his bad intentions. Hey, Gable, what's up? Neil just stares at him in a way I've never seen before. What's wrong with Neil? Neil drops his soda on the ground. Oh shit, minorities.jpg. Neil walks away. Wait, what? James shouts after him. You gonna cry, Gable? Neil walks behind one of the curtains in the gymnasium. Nothing can be seen in the darkness over there. A minute later, Neil appears all the way across the gym on top of the stage.
That's probably about all we're gonna do for that, is just buy like 2 items. Make our character look a little bit more cooler.
That Michael wears. Engage Raptard Screech, the Tard Rage Invoker.
Maybe a few outfit items too, I don't know.
Tard from my original story kicks over the
They'll have to wait until Friday when I get paid.
Kids just want to have fun. It continuously plays that single part of the song. There are no wranglers around to subdue the Tards, and the Tard Rage ensues. Neil jumps off the stage and charges James. James is tackled to the ground by the naked Neil. Get off me, Gabo! Neil proceeds to rub his chode-like, uncircumcised penis all over James's neck and chest. The roar has stopped. Who's the Gabo now, James? Oh god, the sight was amazing. The Tards run out of the gymnasium crying and screaming, now that they can think straight since the screech has ended. The only people left in the gymnasium are me, the teacher, and my friends looking at Neil wipe his phallus all over James's face. Neil gets up off of James. His deed has been done. He proceeds to get dressed again. Just as he finishes, the Tard Wranglers finally arrive. Too late, bros. The teacher retells things that had ensued, and they walk over to carry Neil and James out. Neil walks up to me and hands me a quarter for no apparent reason. As he is being carried away, Neil looks to be just as peaceful as he always is. Because he did not give a single fuck. He never did, and he never will. Neil waves as they exit through the double doors and screams, "Bye, Neil!" I wave back at Neil, as it is the last time I'll see him for over a year. But I still have that quarter. Neil. Clash of the Tards Part 2. In the last marking period of 7th grade. Neil has been quiet for a while now because the principal claims that he will not deal with the same stuff the grade school did. Neil don't give a fuck, but he is inactive for a while. My classes no longer have a Tard day, so I don't get to see Neil as often. To my luck, my lunch has moved to the same...
And let's go do this next mission.
Neil starts sitting with us again, with the blessing of his Tard Wrangler. Everything is going fine, and then I see somebody walking over to us that looks familiar. Oh shit, JPG. It's James in all of his dickishness. He has started to grow a pedophile-esque mustache, Tard got held back in Tard classes. He's a foot behind Neil, just breathing. Will you guys let Gable and Neil sit with you? I calmly tell him to go away as I don't want to start.
Now, let's go over to the Lantern Corps for a brief time.
They seem to ignore him. Frustrated by nobody giving a fuck about
starting with the Green Lantern Corps.
Hey James, that wasn't very nice.
The Green Lantern Corps is a military organization dedicated to the protection of the galaxy. They use their power rings powered by pure willpower. The stronger your will, the stronger the construct.
It's all rage. Food is thrown. It happened to be hot dog day. Tiny meat penis replicas were flying everywhere.
Yellow power rings are the power of fear.
Neil picks up a hot dog and starts smacking him in the neck and chest with it, while simultaneously screeching directly into James's ear. Kind of reminded me of Neil rubbing his dick on James's chest. The Wranglers are almost done restoring the raging Tards, and we're about to move on to Neil and James. Neil sees this and goes in for the finisher. He raises his hand, just as he did in the first clash of the Tards. Falcon Punch charging. This is the last of the raging Tards is restored.
So the more fear that's around the power ring's vicinity, the more power the ring will have.
Neil silences his screech, sits down, and eats the hot dog he had just rubbed all over James.
Red Power Rings.
Finally arrived and carried the
Red Lanterns are their power depends on how angry they get.
Waves at me and others.
They are the power of rage.
Very few. Score: Neil 2, James 0. Neil and the new.
So the stronger your anger, the stronger the construct's power.
Great now. First marking period. Old special.
Blue.
Quit for
Blue Lanterns are the power of hope.
think she couldn't handle the wrath of Neil.
Unfortunately, their power
I'm interested in using a period of
cancels out all
obviously
Red Lantern's power rings,
more, so that I can make sure and see if any more hilarity ensues.
while giving Green Lanterns a power boost.
Teacher, she's young. Seems to really
But the green power rings have to be in a certain proximity to the Blue Lantern's power ring.
turn for the worse. I am sitting down on the carpet with Neil, helping him read a book on Dr. Seuss. This kid really fucking loves his Dr. Seuss. Neil doesn't understand what half the words mean, so I do my best to help
The
him.
Sapphire Core. Sapphires believe in the power of love.
Neil thinks that I am only not telling him because I want him to figure it out for himself, which I did sometimes just because I felt like it was better for him than...
And it wasn't until Hal Jordan found himself in the company of a Sapphire
After the first time it was
that they
somebody else. God, please tell me
that the Sapphires understand the true power of love.
But he's stuck on the thought that I know what it means. Neil engages the mighty Raptor first for you guys in here who does this when he's about to wreck shit. I am going to die.
Orange is the power of greed.
But taller than him, I was scared shitless. Everybody except the teacher knows what
So the greedier you get, the more power your construct will have.
there's nothing they can do. The teacher runs over thinking she can help. Bad idea. Neil engages Raptor and Screech, enraging his target.
Purple Lantern Core.
James is on the floor pissing himself.
Their psyche minds,
Each other in the other.
they use their mind to think of a construct,
The teacher did
and that's what it becomes.
previously unseen by man. KO. Neil now turns towards me and stops.
The White Lantern Core.
Tell me what you mean, Pooh.
The White Lantern Core is the power of life.
What to say? Neil believes me entirely. He goes the rest of his life as far
And can renew life many times over.
Fuck. All of his anger immediately disappears.
The Black Lantern Core.
That toothy grin and simply sits back.
The Black Power Rings are the power of death. So they can use their rings to reanimate
Okay.
any dead corpse and recruit it to their will.
One carries Neil, the other carries the new teacher to the nurse's office. As Neil is exiting Tard HQ, his toothy grin remains. Thank you.
Let me know what you think on that series that I just told you.
Neil brings his pet turtle to school.
Leave it in the comments below on
Still in the
what hero you want to hear of their stories next.
wonderful idea for the people bring up things to show the class. Every day it's a different student. Today that student happens to be Neil. He brings in his pet turtle, Jimmy, to show the class. Everything seems to be going well for the show and tell. Neil is passing around the turtle for people to hold. I mean, it's a fucking turtle. What could happen, right? Seeing as nothing that good is going on, I leave and go to the bathroom. Take a piss in what was probably 3 minutes. It's a very long piss. I walk back into the classroom and utter chaos has ensued. Neil is screaming, Jimmy, Jimmy, where are you? As one of the tarts is crying in the corner.
I'll be sure to tell the
I'm
boss
assuming
what
Neil
you
let
did
loose
for
a
me.
short screech for a second to get everyone's attention. The turtle was gone, apparently. He was lost among all the handing him around. Do you hear me? They lost a fucking turtle. I run up to Neil and ask him what's wrong. Jimmy, dude! Okay, Neil, calm down. I'll find Jimmy. I start looking around. I search fucking everywhere. The turtle was nowhere to be found. All of a sudden, that fucker James walks up. He's got a big retard grin on his face. And he has been gone since right after I left. Neil immediately catches on and commences the turret screech. Shit goes from chaos to pure clusterfuck in seconds. Not only is Jimmy the fucking Halo dog, now I have a raging mob of tards in a close space. I scream to James over all of the noise. Where is Jimmy? No use here. Jimmy is now crying and is of no use. I see a sliver of green in the back of the classroom in the corner of my eye. I investigate the sight. It is Jimmy the fucking turtle halfway under a beanbag.
That's 3. Doesn't need 2 more, folks.
I pick him up and present him to Neil, who is overcome with happiness to have Jimmy back. Jimmy, thanks, pal. The new teacher still isn't able to handle shit, and she is sitting in the corner of the room. Neil's screech may have stopped, but the tard rage hasn't. The tard finds the stapler yet again, and, it connects with Mrs. Springer while breaking the sound barrier. I'm cold. Tard regulars burst into the room and subdue the tards. Neil is perfectly fine, so he is left in Tard HQ this time, but apparently it was my fault Jimmy was lost. I am dragged out by the principal who accompanied the Wranglers. The last thing I see is Neil, there, sitting in the corner with Jimmy. Thank you.
These samples are a weaker version of Bane's usual venom. A megasteroid like venom doesn't just build muscles. It can destroy your body.
So in Neil's class, there was one Jody.
Smells terrible, I might add.
Jody was above average height, ugly as fuck, half-functioning tard who always wore those fucking berets. She was annoying as fuck. All she would ever do was make blatant lies. And she knew nobody believed her, and she had to. One time she claimed that she was related to Leonardo da Vinci, and she had some stuff autographed by him. And she's fucking Irish, but I digress. So it turns out that she secretly had a crush on Neil. I found this out in a rather frightening way, though. One day during gym was the only class integrated, I was cornered by Jody and her nasty fucking odor. Seriously, the girl didn't know I used deodorant. I swear her stench could counteract Saddam's mustard gas. So she cornered me in the gym and whispered in my ear, "Phil, you're friends with Neil, right?" "Yeah, what about him?" "Do you think he might like me?" I immediately ducked under her arm and ran to the safety of my decent smiling friends. Later that day, I saw Neil and asked him if he liked Jody. "Jody's gross, she smells like Jimmy pee." I laughed and dropped the subject, because it would obviously never happen. As I left the Tard HQ to go to my next class, I was cut off by Jody. "So what did he say, Phil?"
I smell cow.
"Sorry, he doesn't like you." "What?" "Oh shit, now I got KPG. Jody runs over to Neil at the pace of a muscular, distant child. She begins screaming in some kind of high-pitched tone, almost like her own rap hardcore, though nowhere near the magnitude of Neil's. Neil takes this as a challenge and unleashes the most mind-deafening rap-hard screech I have yet heard. Jody is cut off mid-scream. The power of Neil's is just overwhelming. The tards go batshit instantly. It was as if World War Tard had hit the Tard HQ. Miss Springer is now a little better at handling the situation, but she is nowhere near capable of handling this. This time she has the common sense to get under the desk before the stapler and her head have a collision that rivals the power of the Haiti earthquakes. I try to calm Neil down, but it is futile. The Tard Wranglers finally arrive before the Tards reach full-on Hulk mode and are able to restrain them. Neil stops his screech, seeing that the situation no longer requires it, as Jody is subdued. The Wranglers pick him up and carry him out of Tard HQ yet again. I wave at Neil as he is carried out the door, peaceful, as he is every time it happens. Thank you. Chronicles of Neil, the Staplers are coming. Be in 8th grade still. The 3rd marking period now.
The sun is shining.
Neil and I have
Wake
just
up
been
with
chilling
our
for quite
fire
some
and
time in
ice,
class.
spiced
Nothing
iced
terrible has
coffee.
happened in a while.
It's always
I
sunny
started
at
to think that I'd never
$7.
see the wrath of Neil again. LOL, think again. Neil had recently gotten his first cell phone. His parents bought it for him so they could keep tabs on him better and whatnot. Neil loved the new phone and texted me frequently. As far as I know, I'm the other one he texted. So while we were sitting in class one day, the teacher actually attempted to teach the Tards something. Neil sent me a text saying hi. Mrs. Springer saw him send this message, unfortunately. She made the very terrible mistake of taking Neil's shitty cell phone. Neil didn't take this too kindly. In fact, he took it terribly. As soon as she took it out of his hand, he let out a raptard screech so fearsome it made Mrs. Springer drop his phone. At this point, Neil thought she had broke his phone and went into full-on rage mode. I made no attempts to calm him down because she had brought this upon herself. The tards ran rampant. It was as if Neil was lying card and he was leading his army of tards against Mrs. Springer. After we did this complete face paint, the tards commenced their attack on everything within their reach. The very same card as the previous time was in reach of the stapler, and this time the Springer wasn't smart enough to hide under the desk. The tard grabbed the stapler and hurled it with all of his might. When it connected with Miss Springer, it was as if Chernobyl had just happened in her head, and she was down for the count. 1, 2, why even bother? She was fucking out. Now that it appeared as if someone had suffered extreme head trauma, I figured I might as well help a little. Turns out that Neil's phone was fine, the battery just fell out. I put it back in and handed it to him as he was going to his job of not giving a fuck about the damage he had caused. Turns out Neil was leaving early that day, so he bailed before the tard wranglers even got there to clean up the mess. Neil just walks out the door looking at his phone and simultaneously waving to me behind him. Thank you. See you, Neil. Don't fuck with me as shit. Clash of the Tards, Part 3. In 8th grade. The important working period now. Shit has been far from smooth for Neil lately. As I said before, he destroyed some bitch recently and wasn't sparing a single fuck to give about it. Because of this, Tard Wrangler has been paying close attention to Neil, trying to prevent him from getting into any more trouble. LOL, nice try. During the period that I helped the Tards out, there was a major Tard emergency on the other side of the school. It required all Tard Wranglers, so Neil was left alone for the time being. As soon as the Tard Wranglers were out, someone was walking over to us. It was James the Dickhead, no doubt approaching to start shit with Neil. Neil was playing the Pac-Man free trial on his phone, and could not give a shit about anything else going on. James is now standing directly in front of us. James, just please leave. Go read something.
I want to see what Neil is doing. What you doing, Neil?
Neil is completely focused on the Pac-Man game and nothing else. James grows angry that Neil won't let him see what he's playing. James grabs the phone from Neil mid-game. As James looks at the phone, all you hear is the womp 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 sound of Pac-Man dying. Bad idea, James. Bad idea. Neil emits the raptard screech as he stares at James with the fury of 1,000 burning midgets. James is now able to resist the screech to an extent, but it is futile nonetheless. His future was set the second he touched Neil's phone. Neil approaches James with very blatant, cruel intentions. When Neil is within striking range, he begins to pop back his leg as far as possible. The Tard Wrangler is now turning the handle of the door. Too late now, though. James's manhood is about to be decimated. Neil unleashes the most powerful kick ever performed by a man. When it collided with James's nuts, it was as if there was a disturbance in the force. James drops, and for a second time now he was throwing up due to Neil's intentions of making sure his family line ends with him. The Tard Wrangler restrains Neil as fast as possible, although it wasn't needed. Neil has stopped his screech now and is back to his oh-so-blissful state. As he was being yanked out the door, he waves to me.
Thank you.
Got a text 15 minutes later.
Looks like you could use some help.
People need to learn how to fuck with
I'm gonna
people's
break
shit.
you, chump. Just
Neil
like
versus
Dave
Fall
broke
to
the
the
back.
Bitch. Be in 8th grade still. Be in the final few months of school before summer starts. I'll decide that I'm not to see Neil again for a while. Walking to Tard HQ with Neil in between periods. Neil wasn't paying very much attention as usual. He was just talking and looking down at his feet as if he was mystified by how they allowed him to walk. I see Bob the Bitch walking down the hallway and avoided my eyes. Well, I practiced up there because, well, huge bitch, give me cards. Since Neil wasn't paying attention, he walked directly into Bob and bounced her onto the ground. He quickly says, "Sorry," and motions to help her up. The bitch smacks his hand out of the way and starts to yell, "Why don't you watch where you're going?" Poor decisions,
You got lucky, punk.
Neil takes this as an imminent threat and unleashes his short burst roar.
I thought one
his
bait
only
is
warning
bad,
that he's about to
but with
slap
Venom on the
someone's
street,
shit.
everyone thinks they're
Barb
back.
continues to yell.
Good to know you're out there taking care of it.
Sound, you needle dick. I begin to grow angry with her. Barb, what the hell's your problem? Neil just puts his arm in front of me like he's got this. Neil dives for her legs and she topples over. She struggles, but Neil has engaged Raptor's strength. Resistance is futile. He gets into a full mount position on top of her and positions his head directly over hers. The roar has stopped. What, Dr. Gigi? All that can be heard throughout the hall is the sound of phlegm being drawn up in someone's throat. It's Neil. He slowly lets the nastiest loogie I've ever seen drip out of his mouth and directly onto her forehead. It seeped onto her forehead and then down the sides of her head. Barb proceeded to cry and gag so hard that she was choking. Neil sees this as a sign that he has won and releases her from his Tard strength grapple. He says, "Come, Pew," motioning over to Tard HQ. It was as if he had erased the memory from his head entirely, and it was glorious. Neil breaks in the new Wrangler. Be in 8th grade, be about halfway through the year. As I said before, Neil is the lightning Raptard. He is fast as hell. Well, he put this particular asset to good use against his new Wrangler. Well, at lunch one day, the new Wrangler wasn't paying much attention. He greatly underestimated the power of Neil. While the dumb fuck was flirting with one of the substitute teachers, Neil slipped the fuck out to go somewhere. Tard Wrangler finally notices and asks me what happened to him. I don't know, it's your job to keep track of him. He runs off down the hallway. I follow out of curiosity. We go out to the main walkway. Neil is nowhere to be found, but his pants are on top of the trash can. We hear a scream come from the building we were just in. Turns out Neil had scared some of the girls walking down the hall. Neil has now been running around for a good 15 minutes straight at full speed. This would be hard for anyone to maintain. Neil is found by the two of us. The Tard guards grab him by the wrist and pull him towards the bathroom to put his pants back on. Neil mumbles, "I don't feel so good." Neil engages Tard Fruit Grip on the Tard guard's wrist. It is a well-known fact that Tard Fruit Grip is unbreakable. Neil tries to free his wrist, to no avail. Neil throws up that day's lunch he had. Pizza, fries, and juice, all over the Wrangler's pants and shoes. He sighs in disgust and tosses Neil into the bathroom. Neil begins his Tard screech due to the excessive force used on him. Thankfully, no Tards were nearby to rage. I help calm Neil down, and he tells the principal that the Wrangler hurt him. Wrangler is ultimately fired a week later for this, all because he is a dumb fuck. Don't flirt with substitutes when you should be watching Neil. They aren't even hot. Neil versus Tard Wrangler Part 2. Be in 8th grade still. Be almost the end of the year, only a month or so left. School has decided to try Tard integration again. Bad idea. Neil has now been assigned a much more seasoned Tard Wrangler. He has his eyes on Neil at all times. Neil fucking hates him even more than the last. Just so turns out that I got Neil integrated into my woodshop class. Woodshop teacher is old, fat man with a large white beard who does not deal with any shit at all due to the possible dangers of his class. Why they let Tards into woodshop, I will never know. Tard Wrangler is only allowed to watch from outside the classroom as to not disturb the class. Be learning how to make a shelf. Required to use jigsaw. Neil goes to use jigsaw, completely disregards all safety precautions. Woodshop teacher sees this and shits a brick. Runs over to Neil shouting, "What the hell do you think you're doing? Did you ignore everything I said? Get out of here!" Neil's eyes light up with fury at the woodshop teacher's showing of aggression. Engage Raptard Roar short burst mode. I prepare for shit to get wrecked. Woodshop has yet to encounter Neil and has no idea what the fuck is going on. He continues to shout aggressively. "What the hell are you doing, kid? I said get out." Neil has had enough of Santa Claus's shit. Neil tosses the hunk of wood at the old man at full force. It connects with his head with the power of 12 large hadron colliders. Santa is out cold. The seasoned Tard Wrangler sees this and immediately jumps into action. He runs directly at Neil and lunges for him. Too slow for the lightning Raptard. Neil avoids it and runs for the door. Wrangler saw this coming and locked the door after he came in. Neil begins to panic. He has never faced a Wrangler this good. Wrangler begins to corner Neil. Neil senses that his defeat is imminent. He silences his Raptard roar as the Wrangler closes in. He shouts at the Wrangler, "Acumen!" referring to acumen, what he thought was a word equivalent to fuck due to a previous encounter. The Wrangler picks up Neil and prepares to bring him to Tard HQ. Neil has stopped his resistance entirely. For once, someone has bested Neil. What is happening, .jpg? Neil just waves to me and utters that familiar slur of words. Neil versus Tard Wrangler Part 3, Neil's Revenge. Be in 8th grade still. Be about a week after the previous incident. Surprisingly, the school has kept the whole Tard integration thing going. Neil has had it up to his head, only 5 feet, with his new Tard Wrangler shit. He refuses to give him even an inch of space, not even during lunch when Neil chills with me and my friends. Neil has been planning this. He had to have. Something so elaborate could not have simply come out of thin air, even for Neil. Neil waits until lunch to unleash his wrath. Remember, all of the Tards eat lunch.
Okay, guys, I'm back. I wanted to make me a couple sandwiches.
Happens to be Taco Day. Neil, out of the blue, unleashes the most violent of his wrath.
Which I apologize for it taking me so long.
The fuck, .jpg. Neil was unprovoked, and I was very confused as he did not let me in on his plan. Tards start to go batshit crazy.
Bane kicked the
Wheat,
venom
rice,
once.
and
He's
cheese
back on
is
again.
soaring over our
The
heads.
last time he was
I
using
ducked
he
down
broke
as to avoid
Batman's
the
back.
carnage, but
So
continued
for
to
me
watch
and
Neil.
Nightwing, this is
The
personal.
seasoned Tard
We're not
Wrangler
losing
starts his
anyone to
push
Bane
to
ever
apprehend
again.
Neil. Not happening, bro.
Even with their
Neil fucking
distribution
books it using his lightning Raptard speed. All the way to the other side of the cafeteria in only milliseconds. Tard Wrangler picks up speed in order to keep pace with Neil. Stops paying attention to the ground. Neil has started to remove his clothes by now. Tard Wrangler's foot hits a pile of taco meat that has been thrown by the raging Tards and does a cartoon-style slip right onto his back. Now covered in taco ingredients. Neil has completed the process of undressing. He's laying his uncircumcised penis hang for everyone to see. Neil begins to charge the Tard Wrangler.
I don't need any
Students
help.
look on in horror to the events unfolding before their very eyes, but they could not fathom what was going to happen. Continuing his mighty ragtard screech, Neil dives on top of the Wrangler, engaged Tard strength. Even the full-grown Wrangler is not able to fight off Neil's immense Tard strength. Neil silences his Raptard screech and scoops up the stray taco meat ingredients, shoving them directly into his mouth. He chews it all into a half-back fist of pure red. He's gonna do a .jpg. He positions his head directly above the Wranglers, just as he had to Tharp the bitch earlier that year, and regurgitates this taco spit pure water onto the face of the Wrangler. Neil has had his revenge and sees no reason to continue the onslaught. He gets off of the disoriented taco-covered Wrangler and gets dressed once again. The raging mob of Tards have almost all been subdued by the other Tard Wranglers. Neil is picked up by one Wrangler and dragged towards the cafeteria exit, as another tends to the seasoned Tard Wrangler's wounds. Neil is in complete harmony. He simply waves goodbye to me and shouts in my direction, "Baby!" all the while holding a very toothy grin because he knows he has broken the Super Wrangler. Maybe is free from the wrath of Neil. This is the last story. Neil, story of the Tard ball game. Be in 8th grade, be in the last 2 weeks finally. Miss Springer has organized a baseball game for the Tards and all the kids who help them for that one period a day.
Batman is a big
Full
believer in
choices,
tough
man.
love, or just
B-day of
being
event.
tough.
Walk up
Those
to
butts
Neil
will
who's sitting
recover.
on home plate.
They'll be hurting for a
You ready
while.
for the game, bud?
Bane's addicted to venom.
Turns out Neil doesn't like baseball very much.
I've tracked his
James
main
walks up to
stash
Neil
to
and
the
I
King
before the
Carmine
game
Lighthouse.
commences.
There's an unguarded entry up top
Gable.
behind the light.
Neil doesn't give a fuck as usual,
Bane's addicted
and I
to
simply
venom,
disregard the
but he's
Tard.
no fool.
All he wants
I've
to do
tracked
is
his
sit there in
main
the
stash
outfield
to the
until
King
this shit is
Carmine
over,
Lighthouse.
but he has taken a liking
There's
to the
an
batting
unguarded
part.
entry up top
Be
behind
Neil's
the
turn to
light.
bat. Miss Springer is
Nightwing
pitching
inside.
underhand to all the
No
Tards.
one should try to take
She has
out Bane
obviously
away.
underestimated
Bane
Neil's
can be
power
deadly.
despite her previous
Believe me,
encounters.
I know.
Miss Springer throws the ball. Neil misses his first swing. I hear James from over on second base.
Gable, you're bad.
She tosses the ball a second time, and Neil misses yet again. James feels it necessary to continue taunting Neil.
When you're as bad as Game Off.
Neil has had enough of this shit. Serious face. JPEG. Miss Springer tosses the ball to Neil a third and final time. Neil hits the fucker with all of his strength. It was as if the spirit of Babe Ruth had been reincarnated into a tard. The ball blazed straight towards James with the speed of 1,000 blazing fingers.
Steroids, how?
Oh shit.jpg.
Boom,
the ball cracks against his skull. Sweet dreams, James. He's out fucking cold. Miss Springer is now having a fucking breakdown. I personally think she should be praising God that the swinging object did not hit her for once. She begins to shout at Neil. Why do you always have to cause trouble? Neil does not like being yelled at. Neil, taking the sign of aggression to heart, commences his mighty raptard screech. The shitstorm is upon us. The tards run rampant. They have been consumed in rage. Tards are ramming other tards with their heads while wearing batting helmets. Others are throwing the balls at the helpers at near Mach 2 speed due to their tard strength. Thank God there was only one bat, and it was possessed by Neil. Tard Rangers jump into action. Despite being seriously under-equipped, they put up a good fight. The Tard apocalypse was going on directly in front of me, and I got front row seats. Chevy Tard from my original story, who was KO'd by the door, now has on a batting helmet and can obviously not be affected by head injury. He charges Miss Springer with his mighty Tard
suggestions.
The mighty Tard-Nossos
he has the same weak points as a human being.
Tackling bower of Ray Lewis and Lawrence Taylor.
This might stink a bit.
The count. Neil has won his battle and ceases his raptard screech. The Tards are almost entirely wrangled by now, and the Wrangler begins to approach Neil to restrain him. Neil has no intention of putting up a fight. He is now content that he has had his revenge. As Neil is carried back to Tard HQ by the Wrangler, he waves back towards me at the baseball field.
Plastique will. Nice.
See you tomorrow, Neil. Niggas ain't got shit on Neil's athleticism.
It's gonna be a sleepover, right? I packed my toothbrush.
Venom's wearing off.
We had one at middle school. Huge, semi-intelligent card. We named him Don as a mafia boss. We pretended to be his henchmen. I was the Don's mouth, that is, I had to push him for a list of warnings each month. We had to beat the shit out of anyone on that list. Donnie eventually gets into the fight, starts coming to school with a red rose in his pocket, and starts picking up a Sicilian accent. One week he insists we had to put one of the teachers on the list. We refuse and say no. He gets visibly angry and starts calling us not good. He rises, picks the chair, and goes looking for the teacher. Teacher steps into the class in that moment. Don takes the chair and starts whacking the teacher with the chair. I almost pass out of laughter. Janitor's gone, Don gets suspended. Teacher finds list. Brent gets framed and suspended as well. Don returns to school 1 week later. Kisses hand saying, "Welcome back, Don." Don is back. Apparently he had a few good sessions with the school therapist for Downies. The therapist had brainwashed him into thinking that whacking people with chair was not okay. Don, we need a new list.
No, this!
But Don...
No!
Eventually, we managed to convince him that the therapist told him so because he was actually afraid of him. To Better get the message through to his head. I showed him a few of Dragon Ball Z AMVs, you know, the ones with the Linkin Park songs. Dawn finally reawakens. He is all jacked up and pumped because of my AMVs. The classmate that got suspended threatens to snitch. Hey Dawn, all of your man has betrayed us. Dawn says nothing. Dawn, what do we do? Dawn still says nothing, but I see his legs shaking. Dawn?
No, later.
We get out of school, each side of me. Suddenly I hear people scream. Apparently Dawn is
like a fucking rhino gets a snitch.
Tripping him
upstairs.
Snitch gets up. Oh shit. Dawn starts screaming T-Rex.
He wants to kill the snitch now.
Long story short, a local policeman passes by. He gets the idea that the snitch is really Dawn. The snitch gets another suspension and eventually goes to school. He still doesn't know it was my fault all along. Other kids are now legitimately scared of the Dawn. Now kids from other classes want to be among his men. We even had some kind of made man ritual, where the Dawn had to decide if the new member is worthy. Me and Dawn end up sharing the same desk for the rest of the year. Towards the end of the second semester, Dawn now has 40 made men. We even have a secret gesture. He has developed a real addiction to Dragon Ball's AMVs. Is now convinced he is some kind of mafioso super saiyan. Thanks to my charisma, I am now the Dawn's official consigliere. Parents super happy that Dawn has so many friends. They frequently invite me and a few other trusted young men home. The list thing has been abandoned now that the whole school knows about us. The Dawn now has a social life, friends, and frequent power trips courtesy of Dragon Ball AMVs. He goes to an afternoon school for Downies and has a Downy GM. He treats her like his gun ball or something. One Downy at the afternoon school is obviously not okay with the Dawn's success. Of course, it's not long before a new list gets issued when the rival's card's name appears on my list. As his trusted consigliere, I tell him to stay calm and wait for the right time for vengeance. One afternoon, we get some kind of bullshit integration course about tolerance and diversity. The enemy Downy is the speaker. The Dawn is fucking fuming right now. We try to calm him down and avoid another rhino charge by feeding him Mars bars.
We're almost there.
Meanwhile, enemy Downy has ended his quote-unquote speech. Dawn's gunball is there as well. She starts clapping the Downy. Downy gets close and kisses the Dawn's woman. Oh shit, Doctor. The Dawn freezes, while parts of Mars bars drool out of his mouth.
So Batman sent you in.
He pushes me aside.
Let's show these guys we don't need their stinking venom to beat them
stabs
down.
him in the leg with a fucking Bic pen. Janitors are all out and forced to stop the Dawn. Eventually, I call the parents. The Dawn's gun maul has now viciously changed sides. She slaps the Dawn and starts sucking the Downy's open wound. Really? Dawn now faces risk of being expelled. Therapists put him on meds and mentions bad influence to mother. I get a special mention for being friends with him, as an example of tolerance, blah, blah, blah. Eventually, the Dawn is now suspended, thanks to our insistence that we get the school's director to keep him, leveraging on pity and shit. The Dawn returns. He is visibly changed, less responsive. Dawn, what's wrong? Dawn? School! School! He was drawing a house with flowers the whole time. The Dawn keeps his head low for a few days. His mom invites him to his place one day. Apparently she is still oblivious for a little fun. Find a bottle of pills on the kitchen's table. Apparently they got a couple on Xanax. Report to other made men to decide how to proceed with the Dawn out of the game. One of the made men agrees to replace the Xanax with vitamin B supplements. We get ourselves invited at the Dawn's place once more to complete the ordeal. A few days pass, the Dawn is slowly returning among us. Parents keep stuffing his face with pills. The fools, however, merely making the Dawn stronger. The Dawn is obviously not taken too well to Gun Maul's betrayal, and the other Downies sending him into therapy. demands his men to take care of both downs.
Good job, hero.
Dawn,
I'll
we
take
have
care
a
of
new
Bane.
one who wants to become
Thanks
a
for
big
the
man.
assist.
A scrawny kid comes forward, advancing towards the Dawn.
Sometimes I wonder why I stay
But
in
Dawn, he will make anything
Boulder
for you.
City. The
Dawn goes silent and
Valkyries,
starts
the
laughing.
Bane,
Yes.
As Cousin Gabby,
that
I demand the
hush
newcomer to show his
and a
worth to be
crooked
admitted into the
Catwoman,
family.
not to mention
By
the
becoming the
Joker.
Dawn's new bodyguard
So
for
much
a whole week.
competition.
Which means he had to buy him arms, upload him Dragon Ball related stuff, and overall please the Dawn's demands for material goods. The Dawn is now back in full force, jacked up with vitamin B, Linkin Park songs, and hatred. Parents still think he is on Xanax, so they are sending him to Tard School again. Scrawny Kid is forced to go with him. Afternoon Tard Wranglers arrange some kind of social game for Tards, where they have to guess a thing while blindfolded. Dawn gets a seat next to his arch enemy. Wranglers want them to make peace, so the Dawn is face to face with his arch enemy. The game goes well for a while. Apparently both the Dawn and his nemesis are doing just fine, until it's time for the Dawn to guess while blindfolded. Arch nemesis thinks it's obviously a good idea to slap him in the back of the head. It is not. The Dawn flips the desk, and before he can find enough time to rhino charge his enemy, he gets the Wranglers on his ass. The Wranglers call parents once more. Scrawny Kid testifies for the Dawn, saying he was provoked. The Dawn goes off unpunished once more. Scrawny Kid is made honorary made man on the spot. School was open once more. By September, the Dawn, now with a fresh new golden ring and more intelligence points, was a force to be reckoned with. Our little society grew to 50-plus members, all of them abiding to the rules of silence, under the ruthless fist of the Dawn. Every month we had the list, and one of the janitors was consistently on it. Now it was mostly about bullying other kids until they came to the Dawn to pay him respect by kissing his ring. And we made sure they meant it. Apparently the Dawn realized that his condition came with an almost total impunity for his nefarious deeds. But now he rarely got his hands dirty, except for the aforementioned janitor. He fucking hated him for reasons I never understood. Now there's this gypsy kid outside our school. Does the usual gypsy shit, such as begging, stealing our stuff, or scratching cars with coins when he is bored, sometimes with a few other fellow gypsies. Usually giggles and points his brown finger at Dawn whenever he gets out of school. Dawn obviously doesn't like this, not even one bit. Since I'm his trusted consigliere, I advise him to stay calm until we can find a solution to the problem. We can't exactly risk getting the Dawn stabbed by a gypsy by taking him on directly. And besides, that's what made men are for. Now one of our oldest recruits was a blonde, stocky kid. We used to call him the Lemon. You see, the Lemon was a good guy, but he was bipolar, which means he could snap at any second and fucking murder you with the first thing he had on his hand. I knew about this since the first time we heard about the Lemon was at a birthday party, where he had tried to stab the host with a plastic cake knife. Knife broke, so he tried to strangle his victim with his bare hands. On that one time, when he fended off 3 other older bullies with a washing pole, and beating them so hard they had to be hospitalized with 3 broken ribs and one of his front teeth gone. I had recommended him personally to the Dawn. We made sure he got welcomed by all members of the society, which in turn maybe earned the Lemon's undying and eternal loyalty, since he didn't exactly have any friends before meeting us. Now, the plan birthed by my 12-year-old mind was simple. We just needed to show up in force to the gypsy after school, be reasonable and tell him to stop. And since I was the most persuading one, it was my turn to go in person.
I want to come.
No, Don, we can't have you do this. Don't worry, just, I want to come. Of course, you don't get to disobey the Dawn.
Anything in particular you're
so 6 of us
interested
plus
in
the
purchasing
Dawn
today?
were supposed to show up in front of the gypsy to talk to him. The Lemon was among us, and boy, if it was a mistake.
And that's it for this video. Let me know in the comments section what DC stories you want to hear.
And tells us all to fuck off. Bro, listen, my friend here, Gypsy, takes
like and subscribe.
He hits the lemon on the cheek. Holy motherfucker, here.
Until then, this is Dark Necromancer.
The lemon starts
see you all next time.
And screaming. Then kicks the Gypsy